This episode of Talk Commerce is sponsored by Shop Talk. For the first time, Talk Commerce is partnering with Shop Talk Spring 2026, and we could not be more excited. We'll be on the ground at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, March 24th through the 26th, recording the stories of the brands and founders shaping the future of retail and e-commerce. If you want to share your story or just want to connect in person, head over to talkcommerce.com/shop talk to learn more and book your interview. Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Dan O'Toole. He is the founder of Arrive AI. Dan, go ahead, do a much more eloquent introduction for yourself. Tell us your day-to-day role and one of your passions in life.
I was just going to say, Brent, the way you fumbled my name when I graduated college, they said David Stephen O'Toole, and this is my moment. I said it's Daniel Stephen O'Toole, and they go Daniel Stephen. So I got two shout outs. So thanks, Brent.
Nice.
Anyway.
Yep. You're welcome.
Hey, I'm Dan O'Toole, CEO at Arrive AI, based out of Fishers, Indiana. Proudly went public on the Nasdaq May 15th of this year, ticker symbol ARAI. Yeah, we're iterating at the intersection of autonomy and AI in the last mile space. Serial entrepreneur, 4 kids, grew up in Indiana, just living the dream, pinching myself every day.
Perfect. And passions outside of that, kids or?
I'm a huge risk taker. I like to gamble. I'm a car collector. Never met a car I didn't love. And that's my real passion. And I love to, enjoy my family, do things with my wife. Just life's great, man.
All right, Dan. All right. So before we start, we're going to talk about autonomous delivery and drones and things like that. I'm going to tell you a joke. You just give me a rating, 8 through 13. So here we go. I went to the doctor today. He said he'd like to talk to me about my weight. I said, well, it was about 45 minutes, but the chairs are very comfortable.
I'm going to give that about, let's go 10.3.
Okay,
I figured out the punchline with you. It's so much of a dad joke.
Yes, great. Absolutely. Yeah, they're all going to be dad jokes. All right. Dan.
Thanks, Brent. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. All right. So you gave me a little bit about your backstory in the intro in the green room, but why don't you kind of give us the elevator pitch on Arrive AI and kind of how we got to where you're going?
Yeah. It started with an idea in 2014. Drone delivery was just kind of being thought about, and the thing I was thinking about was drone delivery is great, and all that, but the notion of picking every delivery up from the ground or dropping it to the ground, to me, were non-scalable. So how do you unlock all the value that autonomous delivery promises? And the way you do that is by having a safe, secure arrive point in that ecosystem. So, just being an entrepreneur and missing out on some great patents. One thing I figured out, Brent, is when one person has an idea, 10 other people have the same idea. And if you're not first, you're last. And so, in my past, I lost if you think about the previous control button on your TV remote, I had the idea for that. And I went to patent it, and Sony beat me by a month on that. I had an idea for a medical device. I went to patent that. GM beat me by 3 months on a medical device. So when I had this, I called my patent attorney on a Friday. I said, John, I got this idea. I don't want to do a patent search. I don't want to do a provisional. I want to file a full utility patent on Monday. I'll have everything to you. All weekend long I worked. I ran in Monday, gave it to him. We filed it. And when it issued, it revealed that I had beaten Amazon by 4 days. I beat the U.S. Postal Service by 2 weeks. I beat another company by 22 days. So by losing those other patents, I gained this one. This is the biggest opportunity in the world. So thank you. Thank you, God. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us, I think people have been hearing this concept of autonomous delivery for a long time, but tell us kind of how you're making it actually happen.
Yeah, the history of the company, I financed it for the first 6.5 years out of my own pocket. Then we did 3 successive crowdfunding rounds. We raised about $15 million over the last 4 years. And then we made it to the public market on the Nasdaq this year. And that having that funding has given us the impetus to really accelerate. So since May of this year, we went from 6 W-2 employees to around 50. We moved to a new location. We secured a $40 million capitalization for the company, and we're just on hyperspeed. I always say if you have your accelerator pedal all the way to the floor and you let up for 1 second, you never get back when you reapply to where you were. So we're not letting up. We're accelerating as fast as we can. The market is accelerating around us. Drones, unmanned vehicles, robots, all these things are accelerating and being showcased in different opportunities throughout the country, throughout the world, and we're right aligned with that. So I don't think the timing could be better. I think the market is being conditioned for autonomy. It couldn't be a better time, and here we are, and that's everything.
Yeah, that's great. We spend our summers in Minnesota, and I saw that Minnesota is going to get their first Wymos. And so, is there challenges around weather and things like that in autonomous delivery?
There's always challenges, just like there is for a FedEx truck in a snowstorm, right? I mean, everything has its pros and cons, right? We're the access point, we're the arrive point in the ecosystem. We're platform agnostic, universal, welcoming to all shippers and delivers, whether you're a drone, a truck, conventional, unmanned vehicle, robot, whatever. We're going to be that access point. We're going to give you notifications, heated and cooled cargo area, live streaming video, all these things that you've never had with just a regular mailbox. And that's what you're going to come to love. Eventually, all your commerce will flow through your Arrive app. You can archive all of your transactional history. If you want to send something back, it can all be orchestrated from your app at your curbside. I call it a shipping store at your door. You don't need to go to Whole Foods, Kohl's, the UPS store. You can go to your curb and deal with all that. If you're looking for something to come in and you can't remember because you have so many orders, all your purchases are right there. You pick up, you can open up a list of open orders that you have. Find out one was canceled; they didn't even tell you, but you see it right here. You see the other ones delivering today. It's going to be everything. You can buy, sell, return. It's your new life.
Yeah, so give us an idea of like how it works in the real world, and have you deployed one anywhere that is working in real life?
Yeah, right now we're working with Hancock Health, which is a medium-sized healthcare facility campus in central Indiana. We have an ecosystem with robots and our arrive points. We're doing autonomous and asynchronous deliveries, and that asynchronous is a new term to a lot of people, but it's an exciting one because up until now, you've had to be, if you have say a computer or an iPhone come into your house, you have to be there to meet the carrier on that. Otherwise, they're not going to deliver. So people are taking off work, all these kind of things. So asynchronous means every delivery node can operate on its own cadence. So right now, if you're at Purdue University in Lafayette, Indiana, and you order a Starbucks from Starship, a little robot, you have to be there to meet the robot. If you're not there, the robot, you're waiting on the robot. The robot's waiting on you. If the robot's there and you're not, it's waiting on you. With Arrive, we free flow everything. A drone can drop something off. You can get a notification. You can dispatch a robot to pick it up, and you can be wherever that robot's going to bring it to you. Everything happens on its own cadence, its own flow, and nothing's being held up.
Yeah, on a lighter side, we have had a guest who had he called it the poop copter, and he built a drone that goes around your backyard, and through AI and visualization, it finds your dog's deposits and then deposits them in another spot. It sounds like you've gone one step further. And are you also planning on doing something like the poop copter?
We're not the drone, we're not the robot, we're not the unmanned vehicle. We don't want to be in the. Because we're open to everybody, right? Co-opetition. People say, "Who's your competition?" We say, "Hey, we don't have any competition. It's all co-opetition." And going back to the story where we beat Amazon by 4 days and others on our patents, we've got about over 90 patents either awarded or filed for, both in the U.S. and throughout the world. It's a very robust patent portfolio. We want to work with everyone. We think we unlock all this commerce for everybody. Through your user agreement, you're going to be granting overflight rights and on-site rights. So when shippers want to work with us, they're going to have all those rights granted to them because the people that are using our product want them to be able to access it. So there's a lot of things like that that we're going to unlock, streamline, and just make it so much more efficient.
Yeah, so I mean, it does get quite complicated, and as I suppose as more autonomous systems arrive and more flight systems, that we would have some sort of low level airspace problems. Is that something you're trying to address?
We are not in that. That's FAA. They have all the flight lines are already established. A lot of them are over public access roads, public easements, utility easements. At 400 feet is going to be the typical altitude for our drone. But if you did if you picked up your iPhone right now and said, "Show me all the airplanes in the sky right now," you'd be amazed. Hundreds of thousands. I mean, it's a staggering number. It's going to be similar to that at a lower altitude. It's already formulated. It's happening right now. It's really not an issue. One of the things we are going to be doing though is we are going to be doing air traffic control, ground traffic control to our boxes. We'll be able to, through AI, streamline efficiencies, route scheduling, prioritization, capacity management, all those kind of things. And we are going to be bringing that. One of the things that has been obvious to us and not to a lot of others is, as we've started this journey, we always believed that there would be a universal access point in the delivery ecosystem. We knew that dropping things on the ground was not a scalable option. And nobody else really thought about that. They all thought myopically about their own end-to-end solution, and that's fine, but there's a lot more things being delivered today than ever before. And we see this kind of going the way of the Tesla Supercharger network, where that emerged as the standard. We think that we're going to be the standard. There's not going to be 3 arrive points in front of a Homer business. There's going to be one, and it's going to regulate and schedule all your inbound and outbound commerce. So we're excited about that proposition.
Yeah, that's interesting. You talked about the different arrive points. I know that I was in Montana this summer, and I saw that the original railroads, a lot of times they built them side by side, and they actually put 2 tunnels through a mountain side by side. So this really is solving a lot of problems. And do you feel like some of the things you're solving are accelerating faster than they would have done in the past because of maybe AI and some of the other things that are happening?
COVID was a big accelerant, frankly, because so many people were displaced. That sped up the whole industry by 10 years, I would say. And then obviously AI is quickening every day. It's moving so fast, it's staggering. And we are leveraging that in a lot of ways. We just we're just invited by NVIDIA into their Connect program, which is quite validating for us. It calls attention to the fact that NVIDIA sees what we're doing and sees a value. And we, in one of the capacities and one of the products that they make available, the Thor card, we think we could be their biggest consumer of that product. So we're excited about where we're going and how we're getting there.
And it sounds so you are addressing problems with not just flight, but also ground-based autonomous vehicles. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's important that we're agnostic and universal. We deliver the greatest user experience when everybody can play, right? And it goes back to the point where you can't take some of the items, you got to be able to take them all. If you're starting to pick and choose, you're losing your value, and the customer loses, their value proposition. So we want it to, 91% of all deliveries are 5 pounds or less. So that's a huge number for us, and it really opens up all the autonomous delivery drone, robot. All those things fit very nicely into that delivery system.
Are there other examples besides just like motorized delivery and air delivery that you're looking at, or is that kind of like the antithesis of everything that people are trying to do?
We U.S. mail, right? We're going through an approval process with the U.S. Postal Service right now to get the Postmaster General approval. It opens up all the federal easements for mailboxes for us. There's a huge problem every day right now where checks are being stolen out of mailboxes, at an alarming rate. There's so much fraud out there. What if you could disrupt that? What if, average carrier, say, has 300 locations on his route? What if your phone was a fob, or, have some other unlock out, that we would make available to you. And we would key the mailman or mailwoman's, credentials. So all their 300 units, when you get in proximity, would unlock. You open up your mail door, put your item in, close it. You never knew it was locked. You never knew it locked behind you. When you get away, it locks. We have a report of that. If the mailman were terminated or something midday, we could turn off his credentials, lock him out. But that's a big disruption to the fraud that we're seeing out there. So things like that we're envisioning. Funny thing is when you're the gateway to every home and business throughout the world with great connectivity, doing what we're doing, the use cases are far and wide, and the majority of the things that we're going to ultimately do have yet to be thought of. There's things like micro weather, traffic counting, pothole identification, real-time traffic control, dead animals on the road. They can be dispatched to municipalities, tagging and tracking items if your car gets stolen, facial recognition for people and pets, shot spotter to determine the epicenter of a gunshot. We have an emergency light feature. If you have an emergency at your home, you pull up your Arrive app, you hit the 911 icon. It says police, fire, ambulance. You pick the service you need. Say you pick ambulance. You hit that. It sends an automated dispatch to the ambulance dispatcher. At the same moment, your Arrive point starts strobing red and white lights to denote ambulance. If it's a fire, it's red. If it's police, it's blue and red. So first responders immediately can find you. Maybe your neighbor finds you and you're in distress, and they get there before first responders and save your life. Time is life, right? And these are things that we're thinking about and how we can give the highest perceived value to what we're doing, so everybody can have a better quality of life.
That's interesting. So are you addressing people that live in large apartment buildings and things like that as well?
We have a configuration on our roadmap for virtually everyone, whether it's somebody on a high rise in New York on a 35th floor. It could be a multifamily. It could be a residential or commercial use. We even have a portable unit envisioned for, it could be on a tank in a military battlefield, RV, camper, boat. It could be a commercial van where you have two painters at your house painting today, right? They run out of roller covers. What do they do right now? They both jump in the truck and leave for a couple hours on your time. What if you could seamlessly order a sleeve of roller covers from Sherwin-Williams, keep working, you get a chime, you go out to your Arrive point on your truck and grab the item, keep working. That's productivity. That's value for the user, the customer, all those kind of things.
Yeah, and I guess that does. If you're a commercial person in a truck, it does open up the possibility that you don't have a fixed location, that a drone could come out to wherever you're at and help and deliver the goods or services that you need, right?
Right. We've commissioned an environmental study about our product specifically. And we know that for every 1% of deliveries made to an Arrive point, we take 3,000 trucks off the road in the U.S. So it's a big impact. And then you've got all these byproducts of that impact. Reduced traffic means less pollution, less wear and tear on the roads, less accidents, less deaths, lower insurance rates. It just goes on and on. These are all the quality of life issues that we're going to deliver. I always say better, faster, fresher, cheaper, greener, and safer. Those are all elements that are going to be delivered through what we're doing. So we're really excited about that.
What has been the funnest thing you've seen, or the most fun thing you've seen, or solution that you've come up with in terms of the autonomous deliveries?
The funnest thing I would say, we have robots and drones we're working with. I mentioned Hancock Health. We dressed up the robot that we're working with in a Halloween costume, and we actually delivered to all the kids, and that was a huge hit. And things like that. Those are the funnest. And I love the word funnest. So thanks for using that. But we have fun in everything we do. If you listen to our last two earnings calls, I started both of them out with a joke, like you do. So we're having fun. That's our culture here. Brent, every day I come to work, I have three goals. I want to be the boss that I would want to work for. I want this to be the company that I would want to work at, and I want this to be the business that I would invest in. If we do those three things right every day, we're going to be the best.
And how do you see things playing out next year? Do you think 2026 is going to be the year of accelerated, not just AI innovation and expansion, but more of the on-the-ground solutions that AI is helping to enable?
Yeah, it's going to be bigger and better than ever in the year after that, and the year after that, and forever. It's, in the US alone, there's 170 million addresses. That number grows by 4,000 new addresses every single day. It's an evergreen, ever growing market. Where we are, we're focused on developing A1, almost mil spec technology where, our philosophy, it has to work every time, not some of the time, not most of the time. We're in an industry where you're judged by your failures, not your successes. People expect 100% every single time, and that's what we're going to deliver. And in doing that, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves by commissioning tens of thousands of units and putting them out there, knowing that they're essentially obsolete right now going out the door. Right now, everything we're doing, we're not head down focused on delivering revenue or profitability. The ROI for us right now is the learnings and spooling that rapidly back into engineering and development to get the next generation best of the best. And that's what we're doing. So when we do press that button to scale, it's going to be awesome.
That's great, Dan. We have a few minutes left in the podcast. As I close out, I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug, but anything they'd like, what would you like to plug today?
First of all, I want to thank you and your subscribers for checking us out and the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much for that. I would say, as a kid, my goal and dream was always to be at the head of a Nasdaq company. I always wanted to take a company public. It was a very nerdy thing, and the funny thing is, I did it. To have a dream like that and have an opportunity that could deliver on that dream, I'm pinching myself every day. Prior to going public, we had 5,000 investors that shared the same vision with me. I love those guys. They all have my phone number. And if you invest in Arrive AI, you are a co-owner in this company with me. All our stock is common shares with voting rights. It's all the same shares I have. I call us a We the People story. You're invited to come visit us. Anytime we have something that we want a decision on, we put it out as a vote to our shareholders. It goes back to what I said, how do we be the company that I want to invest in? When you're out there with the backdrop of Enron and Bernie Madoff and Sam Bankman-Fried, the default is always skepticism, and I get that. But there are some great companies out here. I want to believe that we're one of them. If you are an investor here, our promise is you're always going to hear the good, bad, and the ugly here first. I own the ugly. I own the bad. The good takes care of itself. I will always own it, and that's what you get here. It's not always great. This is the real world, right? But I do want to talk about my deal toy here too, Brett. Kid in the candy store, still pinching myself, took our company public on May 15th. We rang the bell July 3rd at the NASDAQ. We had 400 people there. We almost broke NASDAQ because they couldn't hardly hold I don't think anybody's ever done that. But this is the deal toy. When you take a company public, it's a little tchotchke that your investment banker commissions on your behalf. Not many people know about them anymore, and it's kind of almost a thing of the past. But this thing right here embodies this whole journey that we've been on, it's Arrive AI, direct listing, ticker symbol ARAI, up to a $40 million pipe, which is a a private investment in a public equity. And that's what we have here. And it was Maxim Group. I want to give those guys a shout out, Arrive AI. We've got the drone delivering to one of our boxes here. So anyway, shameless plug. If you're looking for a great company that cares about you, Arrive AI. If you missed out on NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, all those guys, and you kick yourself and you said, next time I see something that resonates, if you can see a future where autonomous delivery is happening, then you can see a future where Arrive AI is going to be at the center of that ecosystem. So that's it. I'm going to stop there. Brent, you're awesome. Thank you, guys.
That's great. Thanks. Dan O'Toole is the founder of Arrive AI. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, real quick, Brent, can you rate a joke Can you rate a joke for me?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. What doesn't weigh very much and is blue?
Go what?
Light blue.
That's all right. Good one.
I was going to say, obviously, it's a joke because everybody knows that light blue and blue weigh the same.
Yes, no, I get it. Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I give it a 13. That's awesome. Thank
man.
you.
Awesome, buddy. Well, I
Thanks,
can't
Dan.
outdo that. Can't outdo the host. I'm bringing you up to 14.
Yeah, I think you did outdo me. Thank you. All right.
Right.
Dan O'Toole, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for the final joke. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brent. We'll see you, man.
What you want to do?